Hi, I'm Keith from Lands and Grooves. We're going to be covering today concealed carry firearms and what people think they're going to carry, what people would like to carry, and what people actually do carry. So as we're going to cover just a small cross-section of firearms that I set out here, what people would like to carry, we're going to start by what people think of when you say a concealed carry revolver. People have a thought process of revolvers and they think it's antiquated, old school, and out of date. When they say, someone says I carry a concealed revolver, they think of something along the lines of this. Stainless steel, single action, old school pistol that's really heavy and cumbersome. Well, this is not really what people carry when they carry a revolver. What people would like to carry is larger framed automatics because they want the capacity. They don't want a quote unquote mouse caliber. They want a larger caliber, 9mm or greater. So when you think of concealed carry and you think of capacity, how you're going to protect your family, you think of something along the lines of this. Glock 20 or 21 chambered in 10mm or 45 ACP. It is an extremely large weapon, excellent weapon. Love the firearm. They're as typical with Glock, there's never any problems. But once you load up a full magazine, 15 rounds of 10mm, this gun becomes extremely heavy. It's quite wide and hard to conceal. So as much as people would like to carry this all the time, it's just not practical. Moving on, some companies have brought out some smaller versions, chambered in 10mm, 9mm, 45. This is M&P, one of the new ones. This is a 10mm, the shorter, I think 3.8 inch barrel, and it has the Holosun. This is what people think they're going to carry, that everybody needs a red dot today, and everybody's tactical, and they're going to conceal this in the small of their back. Well, this too has a 15 round magazine, and when you load it up with 10mm, it becomes extremely heavy. It has all the cool stuff such as front slide serrations, heavy slide serrations on the back. It has a nice rail for a light. This one has a thumb safety since I'm a 1911 fella. I like carry 1911s. This gun here is a really nice gun, has a lot of recoil in it, even more than the Glock 20, but it is extremely reliable as well, and it has multiple adjustment grips. But realistically, in southern states, when hotter climates, you're gonna have trouble carrying this, even with the multiple holster options that are available. So moving on, people say, oh, I'm gonna carry a slim 1911. Chambered in 9mm or 45. People carried the Colt Defender for a long time, the Kimber Pro Carry 2, things such as that. And these are great weapons. Single stacked, cocked and locked, single action. When you talk about this particular style, it has a lower capacity in the magazine, typically 7 rounds. So 7 plus 1 gives you 8 rounds in this micro gun. And yes, it is 45 ACP. It is easily concealable. However, again, it is stainless steel, and it is alloy frame. It is a great weapon, extremely reliable, not as reliable as a Glock, I would say. I do love Colts, but you must break them in, Colt and Kimbers. They are extremely expensive. So if you want to, be the guy that carries the gun and says, hey, you want to show it to your buddies all the time and say, I carry a Colt Defender, they know this gun's easily a $1,000 gun, if not more. Sometimes Colts get hot and they're running $1,500 new. So you have to be realistic is, when you carry a gun every single day, day in, day out on the weekends when you're out with your family, the gun's gonna get scratches on it. No matter whether you carry an inside the waistband holster like a Bianchi, whether you carry an ankle holster, I believe this is a Galco ankle glove, or you carry a Don Hume, another inside the waistband with a thumb brake, more rigid leather. All of the guns are gonna get worn. But keeping in mind, these larger guns that are not carryable, when you start putting double wrap leather on them, they even get larger. So moving on down the path of what we would like to carry versus what we can actually carry. Everybody would love to carry something along the lines of this. 44 Magnum, 629. You know that if you pull this out and someone's trying to accost you, rob you, hurt you, or your family, that this will certainly do the job. Even with a light special load in it, it will certainly take care of whatever problems have come up. So, but the reality is this gun weighs in, I think, around 40-ish ounces. It's a great gun. This is the 44 629 Deluxe. Great gun, great sights, very accurate. but it's not realistic. So you say, well, I'm going to carry a 357 Magnum and I'm going to go down the revolver path, but I'm a Colt guy and I like Colts. You say, well, I'm going to buy this one. Colt King Cobra, 6 rounds, stainless steel. This is a great gun. This too has a weight problem. It is solid stainless steel. It is not an alloy. So again, completely reliable, probably the smoothest action in a revolver on this table. For all the Colts problems, they still make a great smooth action. I would say, in my personal opinion, better than Smith's, even better than the Smith Performance Center on the table. And that's just the standard Colt King Cobra. So moving on to the tactical stuff. This 5.7 is a Ruger 5.7 with all the little bells and whistles that people like to have. They like the new 5.7 round because it's so fast, and they like things such as the Holosun. This is a Holosun 407C, and this is an Olight, I think an 800 lumen with the magnetic charging system. It is a great weapon, doesn't jam, doesn't have any trouble. Safety, I think this one carries 20 rounds in the magazine. However, this gun is extremely large, even compared to, say, the Defender. When you look at these guns, you can see how large this weapon is compared to the Defender. So if you're going to carry an automatic, this one is going to be a conceal problem, certainly. So I think of this more as a range gun. Again, it's a great weapon, well made, and they don't charge the premium that is charged by other companies. So moving on, we've covered basically the guns that we'd like to carry, or what people think of or carry revolvers. Now let's move into actually some of the guns that people carry and that I carry. This was one of my staples, one of my guns that I carried a long time. This is a Glock 26. It's an extremely reliable gun. It has all the spring kits in it and things like that from the Glock store. I pressed in night sights on it. It is extremely reliable. This gun is extremely accurate, and I can't ever remember having a malfunction in this firearm. This too was the staple of a quote-unquote baby Glock concealed carry, and it is a phenomenal gun. The 9mm, when you load the magazine up, it's not too heavy. The only downside of this particular gun is the grip is so short that when you put your hand around it, you can see that you only really have 2 fingers on it. So that creates a little bit of a follow-up shot problem. But if you get an extension, you can get around that. But again, making the gun longer, again, creates a difficulty while you conceal it. But this is certainly one of the guns that I would begin what I would actually carry as far as concealed carry weapon. This is where we begin, for my personal taste anyway. So moving on, here's the SIG 365, another phenomenal concealed carry. This within standard configuration has the same capacity as the Glock 26, is narrower, is a little bit lighter. I think it's a great weapon. I carry this one quite often, the 365 as a replacement. I used to carry the 26 all the time. Now I carry the 365, and this is just the thumb safety version. Again, because I'm a 1911 person, I like thumb safeties. The thing with the 365 is it comes, usually most, I'd say 90% of them come aside from the stainless model that has a cut cost addition. All the other ones come with standard night sights, the XS sight or the X-ray sights from SIG. And you can interchange the grip module if you want to and change the color. I changed this one to the Tiger Stripe, just something that SIG had. But keep in mind, when you go to a concealed carry area, that you typically don't want to put on things. If you're actually going to carry it in your person, and you begin to go down the road of lights and lasers and this and that, extended mags, you're kind of getting out the realm of where you've started, okay? The whole purpose of carrying this, a gun, is to actually have it on your person and not to make it something like this, tactical. Yeah, the red dots are great, but if you can get away with it, some of the new SIG 365s are coming with SIG red dots, and they're okay, but I still think they're a little larger than necessary for carry. So we covered the 26, which is a good option, the 365, which I think is a great option, and let's move down the line to, this is the Ruger LCP Max. This gun is extremely light, and it has a 10 or 12 round capacity in 380. The other two, the 26 and the 365, were chambered in 9 and plus B capable. This is a 380, so you are stepping down in caliber. You're getting close to that mouse caliber kind of cartridge area. But with the improvement of propellants, there are several, I think 1 or 2 cartridges that is sold now that meets the FBI ballistic standards. So you might want to do a little research on that, or we can cover a video down the road on that if anybody needs that. But there is a 99 grain Federal HST, if you can get your hands on, that meets the 3 layers of denim, and I believe it's past 12 inches in ballistics gel. So again, the Ruger LCP Max for $310 is a phenomenal option. When you go into the 365, you're looking right around $450, $470, depending on if you buy the TAC pack or not. And then when you go to Glock 26, the prices vary depending if you want the OD green or whatever, but you're probably looking around $450, give or take. And like I said, the nice thing about the Glocks is there are options for you to change it at will. There are so many options out there for spring tensions and triggers and extended mag release, extended slide release, press insights. And so those are 3 great options. Now finally, the point of this video is to move on to revolvers. And we covered the revolvers, what people think they are, like the King Cobra, the 44, 629, the Black Hawk, and those are huge, heavy stainless steel guns. Let's move into alloy guns that you're actually going to carry on your person. When you carry these snub-nosed revolvers, you typically will carry them in the small of the back, appendix carry, or on the ankle, depending if you have jeans on or pants. We're going to cover these 4 right here a little more in depth. This is starting with the 638 Smith. This is one of what they call the J-frame, the airline. This actually has a shrouded hammer in, so it's hidden inside, so if you would need to carry it. I used to own a 642, did not care for the double action only, so off it went down to the auction. So with the capability of this, of the hammer that's on the shroud, it gives you the option to use double action or single action. So that's why I really like these, and I believe these come in right around 15 ounces, which is, I mean, really light for a revolver. So you have a 5-round capacity on this. This is another version of it. This is the Smith & Wesson 637 with exposed hammer from the Performance Center. What they do is they give you a little longer grip, you'll notice, than that boot grip. So it's a little longer. It gives you that extra finger you can get on the bottom of the grip. It does give you a little more comfort there. However, when you have this in this capacity in the small of your back, this sticks out just a little bit more. Okay, so when you put it in your ankle holster, you'll notice that it kind of sticks out a little further than it would have in the shorter configuration with the boot grip. All right, these typically all come standard with rubber boot grips, but the options are plentiful out there. Moving up the scale, as we moved on, we had the standard 638, the 637 Performance Center, so you're looking probably around, I don't know, 450 now for the 638. Performance Center is probably 520, something like that. The internal is already polished and it is very smooth. Now, if you just say, look, I really want to carry a revolver, but these still seem too heavy to me, why would I carry a 17 ounce or 16 ounce, 15 ounce snub nose when I can carry a 17.3 ounce 365 that has 10 rounds in it? And this has only got 5. Well, some people feel that the 9mm even plus P configurations is just not enough punch. So Smith & Wesson brought out this. This is a 360 PD. It is in the Scandium class. It is extremely light. This gun, I think, weighs in right around 11 or 12 ounces. So it's chambered in 357 Magnum, not 38 Special like the 637 or 638. This gun has an extreme amount of recoil, and stamped right on the side is no less than 120 grain bullet. So you want to make sure that you keep that grain up on your cartridge, otherwise you'll push out the steel insert for the barrel. All right, so these are phenomenal weapons. They are a handful to hold on to, but they are chambered in 357 Magnum, and they do have the red dot on the ramp sight. But having said that, when you talk how light it is and what it's made of, you went up to scale, you could literally buy 2 of the Performance Center weapons for the price of one of these. I think this is coming in right around $1,000 and $1,050 with this 360 PD with the hammer. All right. So if you look at these weapons and you say, I like the revolver, I like the setup, but I'm not real comfortable with the 5-round capacity, I understand that, and there are options to have speed strips and speed loaders in your pockets, but sometimes the speed loaders really print themselves, and you can see them through your pant leg. The Bianchi or DeSantis speed strips are phenomenal. They really fit flush, and basically when you load them, you break off, you pull, it's like a straight strip, you pull off 2 at a time, break them off, rotate, break them off, rotate, and they're just rubber strips that hold all the cartridges in a line. So these are all 5 shots, 38, 38, 357. And as we go up the scale, you know, of caliber, you're gonna notice an increased recoil. The weight difference here is a, Taurus just released this, I believe, last year. This is a Taurus 856, and this one just happens to be in this tungsten gray color. Now this one has 6 round capacity. So this one's also plus P rated and comes with a standard grip, which is nice. The Taurus rubber grip is very nice, very well built. You will notice that the action on it is just a little stiffer than the Smiths, especially the Performance Center one. However, I've shot guns like this and I've never had an issue with any of the Tauruses. The twist in the barrel seems quite acceptable. The accuracy, no problems. Never had a fail to rotate the cylinder. I've never had the actual cylinder release hang up, no issues. This gun is an extremely well-built gun, and at the price point these guns are the same price point that Smiths were at about 4 or 5 years ago. So you're looking at this gun here, if you want like the alloy color and there's really no special going on, you're probably looking at 315 to say 359. And they're great guns. They're a lot of bang for their buck, and Taurus has their lifetime warranty. Taurus gets a bad rap a lot of times, but I will say this, that I often carry, when I'm carrying revolvers, I either carry one of the J-frames or I carry this 856. It is a phenomenal gun. I bet my life on it that it will fire. And I've got a lot of rounds through all these guns. So as far as reliability, I don't think any of these choices on the table are bad choices. If they were not reliable after all the years and all the revolvers I've gone through, the ones that are not reliable or I have a problem with them, a function problem, they're sold. They are not worth keeping if they don't work. So everything you see on the table here has been extensively used and reliable. Believe it or not, the only complaint on this table I would have is when I first got the King Cobra, for as smooth as an action is, when you get to one of the rounds of the 6 on the cylinder, it did not want to open up with stick. So that was the only thing, a little issue with, I just had a little Dremel and just polish it up, smooth it so it would open smoother. But that was the only problem on the table here out of all these revolvers. Other than that, I think that's going to wrap up the video. When you look at your concealed carry revolvers, you certainly want to look at the Smith & Wesson J-frame series. Me personally, especially if you're a newer shooter, you want to stay away from the shrouded hammer, the concealed hammer, the model 642, because it is double action only in the Smith. I would go with the 638 or the exposed 637. And if you have the extra change in your pocket, the 360 PD from Smith is a phenomenal choice. It is just pricey. Again, if you're going on the lower end of the budget scale, I'm not a fan at all of the Arms Core. I'm not a fan at all of the Charter Arms. I hate to say it, but some of the quality on some of those weapons has been subpar. Taurus has really stepped up their game, and you got to give them credit for building a better mousetrap. It's a tough market, and adding that one round in the 856, I think will pay off dividends in their class. So I think that kind of puts them ahead of Charter Arms and puts them ahead of Rossi and guns that were middle of the road at best. So the Taurus, I think, is certainly closing the gap, if not meeting the Smith & Wesson as far as interest in the weapon, because that extra round really has piqued my interest enough to say, you know what, I have all these J-frames, but I'm gonna buy one of the 856s. The weight is nominal. I think it's an ounce or 2 difference compared to the J-frame, but you are getting that extra round, which, that's when you have 5 rounds and you upped it to, 6 rounds, that is an important, for me, that's an important thing. So again, the Taurus 856, and like I said, this just happens to be in a tungsten gray or titanium gray. They make them in black and silver, and these are alloys. So all these 637s, 638, 637, 360, and 856 is all alloy. So when you carry these all the time on your person, it's up against your ankle or small of your back and you're sweating on it, you have no issues with corrosion, things like that. As far as injury or hurting any of the materials, they're very well built weapons. All of these on the table. I've seen zero pits, zero problems with any of these on the table. Other than that, I think that's going to wrap the video up. Post your comments below if you have any questions, and we'll think of another subject in the next video if we didn't cover anything. But mainly the purpose of this video was to bring the J-frame and 856 revolvers back into people's thought process of carry, because the reality of it is, yeah, it's cool and these are great guns and fun, but they are large weapons, and if you don't carry them when you need them and they're sitting at home and you're safe, they're going to do you no good at all. Thank you.